Wow, where am I at? I spent a lot of money to get here, and you know what? It's just my closet. I put a lot of work into putting up soundproofing, lighting, mic stands, things like that, a table, just so I could come in here and film in the privacy of, well, my closet. I didn't think about a backdrop, so you're just gonna have to see some of my clothes, my extensive shirt collection, if you would. But I have kind of like a quasi streaming setup now. And to be honest with you, tonight I had a bath with a man. His name was Bushmills. Very nice Protestant fellow. Got me really, really educated? No, inebriated. That's the word. And well, when I get loaded like that and I feel good, I just want to read. I know, people like me should probably be playing video games or something more wholesome, like trolling Tinder or Bumble or something. I don't know. But you get tired of success on there like me. Yeah, right. No. I like reading. Reading is fun. So I had this idea a while back, like, why don't you just like read? Just read. You like making these videos out of comics. I like making these videos out of comics. If you watch my channel, you know that. So why don't I just read? And what better thing to read than, mind rotting comic books? Things like this. I mean, it's perfect, right? What do we have here? We have, oh, look at this, Spider Man number 50. The perfect thing to read. Spider Man is the hottest thing in the world right now. And I don't mean as a man, I mean it's just the hottest property out there for comic books, right? There is no denying that this is the number one comic book and probably movie character at this point. Um, China is really going to get onto that Shang-Chi vibe, and they're really going to find out about Peter Parker and get into that, and he's just going to become this is Jesus. This is Jesus Christ right here. I don't know if you know that. Anyway, Spider Man has a very long history. He's been around since the 60s, right? He's been around longer than I have, that's for sure, amazingly enough. Um, I read about Spider Man's comic book adventures in Wizard. I couldn't really go to the store and find these issues and back issues that easily, but I could read about them in Wizard magazine, so I did. I know all about these stories, but to be honest with you, as versed as I am in comics, I haven't read this one, and I haven't read a lot of these famous ones out there. So I wanted to just like sit down with you guys and just read a comic book. Wouldn't that be like cool? It just felt like simple, but interesting at the same time. Um, so I figured start with something great. Start with like one of the classic comic book covers. And even if you haven't read a comic book in your life, if you know Spider Man, you might know about this famous cover where it is, as it says, Spider Man, no more. What's going on here? It looks like Spider Man's giving up the Spider Mantle or something. It's interesting. So I just wanted to sit down with you guys and just like chill and just read a comic book. It's such a simple thing, and in today's world, um, that is one of the best things to have is simple things. So let's go ahead and open this up. Now, I did want to point out, I said number 50. Yeah, Amazing Spider Man number 50, this would be, but this is actually Marvel Tales starring Spider Man, and it's number 190. Um, and it's clearly not Amazing Spider Man number 50. I couldn't afford that. I'm not going to buy a $200 comic book just to read it for you guys on YouTube. I'm sorry. I would feel really bad if that, got crinkled up and got my Cheeto juices all over it or powders or whatever you want to call it. So I got like a reprint. I figured there would be one, and sure enough, there was a collector's item classic one. This was back when like Superman was huge. Um, I take it back. This is like 1986. I don't know if you can see that, but it says 86 right there. So this is actually 1986. Point being that comic books got really big there, and there was a lot of reprints. And I actually did catch a lot of classic comic books in the earlier 90s that way, just by the reprints. So I said, get a reprint. I've got the reprint here. I'm going to open it. I have not yet opened this. This is what's called a polybag. It's a plastic container for the comic book to protect it. This is how they protected it back in the old days before they did things like grading. Um, I do want to say I hate these because if you notice, they've got tape on them, so you're already like bending it to open it up. And what's worse is that this tape. What do you think happens to that when you pull this comic book out? It can get stuck. I have ruined one of a kind things before getting tape like this from a poly bag stuck on it. So this is what I always do. I don't give a shit about this poly bag. I'm not gonna, care if it's sealed or not. It's not like some germ or something's gonna get in there and ruin it. Sunlight is much worse for these things than any germ or whatever. Moisture's bad for them, but I don't think this seal of 2 pieces of tape on plastic is going to cut it, bud. So I think I've got it pretty much cut down there. I'm going to slide the comic book out now. Isn't this fun? Isn't this fun? This is like what we had. This is what we used to have to do before we just pirated everything and just read everything, on the computer there, like us folks do that are poor. Anyway, here we go. We have the comic book here. You're going to see everything. You're going to see the ads. You're going to see everything. So hopefully there's like just comic book in here and not someone's mom's porn pics or something. We'll see. Could always happen. So we open this up. Oh, look at that. Nice. Eminem's ad. I am going to talk about the ads, and what can I say? Eminem's ads have not changed that much. Here they are playing a band tune, I guess, while they march to their mouthy doom. That's kind of weird, but whatever. I mean, it's never been a thing where the M&Ms weren't getting eaten. So I'm just going to start reading here. The Amazing Spider-Man. Oh, by the way, I do voice acting. I have no professional training. I don't make any money in it. I do it for fun. If you don't like it, cool. If you like it, what's wrong with you? Also, cool. Anyway, The Amazing Spider-Man. Spider-Man no more. What say we skip any long introductions? If one glance doesn't tell you where this little caper's at, then turn in your web shooter on the way out. I like that. The comic book's like, hey, if you don't know what this is about, you're an idiot. I like that. That's cool. I hope you guys can see this. I'm really trying this out for really the very first time here, and I hope that it's evident. This is totally a pilot run, so we'll see. I'm sorry if I stop too much. We got our sound effects here. We got crack, zock, whap. So Spider-Man's just beating him up. He's just beating some ass. Hang loose, hero. It's action time. Turn the page. I'm surprised at you gents. Don't you know better than to try robbing an office in Spidey swinging territory? You masked creep, you ain't gonna stop us. Not unless you're bulletproof. Click. And bulletproof you ain't. Hey, he flipped himself back. You missed him. Yeah, sorry about that. Come on, our only chance is to rush him. All together now. Let's pile on. This'll take care of him. Ugh. He's going down. We got him. Here's where we demolish the creep. I hate to shatter your pipe dream, guys, but the Spider-Man don't demolish that easy. It's really much more fun when you read it in his voice. Sometimes when you're reading, you're just like reading it in your head, your mental voice or whatever, and you're like, yeah, whatever, I don't care about all that. But this, it's actually kind of fun to read it in voices like that just on the fly. I've never actually sat down and done that actively. I'm probably going to kill my voice, by the way. I may like pause the stream just so I can go get something to drink, because I'm already like kicking my voice in the voice nuts, whatever you call them. I don't know. Now, I don't want you to think I'm getting bored or anything, because you're a real swinging, fun group. But I'll have to wrap this tea party up now. Don't think it hasn't been a real pleasure, Waltz. Sorry, I'm going to mess up. Don't think it hasn't been a real pleasure waltzing around with you. Ugh. Ugh. Although, just between us kids, it hasn't been. It's like smash that door right over their heads. Real violent, man. Like, holy crap. Excuse this door, gents, but I've got to save my webbing. Especially since they raised its price at the corner drugstore. That is so prescient. That is so appropriate for today. I mean, God, how many times have I been down at, like, the corner drugstore and been like, God, I need freaking web fluid. Jeez, but I need vitamins too. I don't know what to get. It's so hard to figure out. And I'm going to do a woman's voice. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Spider-Man, you saved our payroll and perhaps our lives. How can we ever thank you? Easy, Martha. Stay back. How can we be sure he isn't as bad as the others? The Daily Bugle says he's a menace. Don't come any closer to us. Really, bud? He just, smashed a door over these villains' heads and he didn't kill them. I think Spider-Man's pretty on the level there. He's not a bad guy. He's probably okay. I mean, were there any news stories of him like killing people? I know J. Jonah Jameson would like try and like make him seem like a menace. He's a menace. Preview for later. But seriously, come on. It's Spider-Man. If he was like in the business of murdering people, he's wearing like the exact wrong costume and keeping the exact wrong kind of profile for that. I don't think he's murdering people. So that guy's kind of a jerk. So then, Spider-Man says, "You can stop trembling, Tiger. I don't bite." It's interesting there he's using Tiger because that's eventually what Mary Jane Watson has a pet name for Spider-Man. That's Tiger. You just hit the jackpot, Tiger. Boy, Jameson's batty editorials have done me more harm than all the crooks in town. See, told you, preview. No matter what I do, half the population is scared stiff of me. And the other half probably thinks I'm some kind of full-time nut. Well, who cares what people think, anyway? That's just the trouble. I care. Everyone flips over the FF, Fantastic Four. They think Daredevil's the coolest. Captain America turns them on. Whoa. Ooh, that's interesting. That's America's butt, right? But just mention Spider-Man and Freesville. I'll never understand how it happened. I don't steal candy from babies or tie tin cans on puppy dogs. It's all Jameson's fault. He's got the public convinced that, next to me, Genghis Khan was a piker. I don't know what a piker is. What's a piker? I don't know. It's not Diker. That's definitely a P. But I don't know what a piker is. Does anyone know what a piker is? I would love to know. The public. The more I help them, the more they hate me. Yeah, that's pretty common. Minutes later, reaching his apartment, the brooding youth finds another cause for concern. Mrs. Watson called earlier. It's your aunt. She's ill. Want me to drive you there, Pete? Aunt May. That means she needs me. I'll take my bike, Harry. It's faster. Aunt May must have had another attack. And I was too busy playing superhero to be there when I should have. I just pray I'm not too late. Mrs. Watson, I got here as fast as I could. What happened? It's all right, Peter. She's resting now. Luckily, the doctor was just passing by. If not for that. Where is she? Can I see her? She kept calling for you, wondering where you were. She was so worried. But then Dr. Bromwell managed to give her a sedative. Oh, if I had been at home like any other normal guy, they could have reached me fast. But no, I was out flexing my muscles trying to help the very people who fear me. We'd better let her sleep, Peter. I'll tell her you were here. So here we see the dilemma. Peter's, out doing something he thinks is important, something that Uncle Ben said you have to do. With great responsibility comes great power. Yet there's an addendum to that. With great responsibility comes great power, and with great actions from said power come responsibilities and results that you might not like. Dilemmas, problems, things that aren't too good. We have an ad here. I like this ad. A free headphone radio. This thing probably sounded like garbage. That's why they're getting rid of it. But it probably took like way more candy than it was worth to get it. So go figure. I do like this ad though. Like this is stylish even in today's world. Maybe it's coming back around, but the music notes in the sound waves, whatever those are. I guess it's sound. It's sound. Okay. The little guy on the bike. The cat wearing headphones, very, very on point for today's market. The kids love that kind of stuff. Good going, Nabisco. You really knew how to make a long-lasting ad. Chuckles, by the way. What are Chuckles? I don't know what Chuckles are. I know what a Sugar Daddy is. I know Junior Mints. Charleston Chews, kind of out there, but I know it. Maybe I've heard of Pom Poms. I know Sugar Babies, right? But Chuckles? I don't know Chuckles. Must be an 80s thing. Anyway. Try not to be too far from the phone till your aunt is back on her feet, son. I will, Mrs. Watson. I almost said Hatson. Sorry, I'm kind of tired. And thanks for looking after her. Oh, if anything had happened before I could have reached her, I'd never forgive myself. Ever since I moved in with Harry, I've hardly even thought about Aunt May. After all, why would I care? Why should I care about her? All she ever did is spend a lifetime looking after me, treating me like her own son. That's all. Uh, she devoted most of her life, replacing the mother that I never had. I show my gratitude by never being there when she needs me. I've got a rough exam tomorrow, but there's no use trying to study. I'd never be able to concentrate. Not now. The next day, at the conclusion of the test. Anything wrong, Pete? I hardly saw you write a thing. If I passed, it'll be a miracle. Parker, would you mind remaining a few minutes after class? I'd like to have a word with you. Sure, Professor Warren. Just a friendly warning, son. When your grades have been declining steadily. You came to this class with the finest record in science I'd ever seen. I hope you didn't feel you can just coast along on that. It's getting kind of hitting close to home there when you're, high-performing student, but you're really putting in low effort, and everyone says you're really smart compared to everybody else, and you're just like, well, that means I can just do whatever I want, right? Not so much. It catches up with you. No, sir, I'm going to start buckling down. Yeah, right. Oh, it's Gwen Stacy. This is his girlfriend at this point, I imagine. Let's see what she says. Oh, Peter, I'm having a little get-together at home tonight. I'd love you to be there if you can. I've been waiting for Gwen to ask me, but with Aunt May so ill and my grades so low. Gee, I'm sorry, Gwen, but do you mind if I take a rain check instead? Wow, this is a good guy. He doesn't know it, but he's totally good. Of course not, Pete, although I am disappointed. I'm probably the only one who will have to refuse her invitation. All because of the complications Spider-Man creates in my life. I haven't even had time for dating scatterbrained Mary Jane these days. Or is she really so scatterbrained? I've never been able to take the time to find out for sure. So long as I hang on to my Spider-Man identity, I haven't time for anything except new problems. Sorry. This is just getting really real because it's like, man, that's how I feel. I get more and more responsibilities. I do more and more things to earn money. I get like jobs and do all these things. And it seems like instead of like getting money, I just get more problems. I guess it's like, Biggie says, more money, more problems. It's like, oh my God, I feel for Pete here. I really do. And this is the mark of a great story. It's appropriate no matter what time you've read it, the day it came out or God, what are we at now? Like 70 years later? Wow. Everyone's bonked out by new chewy chocolate bonkers. Again, I don't know what bonkers are. So, is that what I read on the other one? The other page? And I was like, what's a bonker? Oh, it's chuckles. Okay, so there's two things I don't know. I'm not a candy expert. I try and starve myself. I don't eat candy. Oh boy, here we go. All the way home. The troubled youth's thoughts keep tumbling tortuously. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the narrator. All the way home, the troubled youth's thoughts keep tumbling tortuously in his brain until Harry's dad offered me a job working in his chemistry lab. A job I'd give my eye teeth for. What are eye teeth? I don't know what that is. But I've even had to turn that down because it would involve a lot of night work. And I've got to keep my evenings free in case Spider-Man has to go into action. Spider-Man. I'm beginning to hate the very sound of that name. But, hate it or not, no sooner does he turn on the TV than the sobriquet continues to haunt the brooding adventurer. I've never heard of that word, sobriquet. That is cool. I've learned a new word. Maybe if I hear the news for a while, I'll... Oh, no. And my newspaper challenges anyone to prove that Spider-Man isn't a public enemy. Ooh, that's killing my voice to do that. I'm going to die if I have to keep doing that. I'll do this page and then I got to have some water. I'm sorry. Oh, it's Jameson again. Using the show he sponsors to stir up the people against me. Some misguided fools call him a superhero. But why does he operate outside the law?
Why does he cloak his identity behind that ugly fright mask? Let me tell you why.
I really feel like Jonah here with this microphone. I feel like Jonah, like, just screaming into a microphone. All right.
Because he's really an egomaniac, a neurotic troublemaker, flaunting his powers before the ordinary citizens whom he despises. For all we know, he himself provokes the criminals whom he later seems to defeat. Do we want our youngsters to make an idol of a mentally disturbed menace? I say no. We must find him, unmask him, and then destroy him.
Jesus, Jonah. Calling for a person's death there. You don't even really know him. Anyway.
As publisher of the Daily Bugle, I offer $1,000 for the capture and conviction of that web-slinging, wall-crawling mockery of a man. $1,000 reward. Just for...
Oh, sorry.
$1,000 reward just for me?
He hates me far more than I thought.
The time has come to rid ourselves of that false-faced freak who hides by day and tries to take the law into his own hands under cover of night.
The terrible thing is, he means it. He actually believes what he says. He sincerely thinks I am a threat to society.
Menace, egomaniac, public enemy, fraud, mentally disturbed.
But what if he's right? How could I have been so blind never to have realized? Perhaps only a madman would do what I do, taking the risk, accepting the dangers. And for what? After all these years, it's suddenly clear. I must be a glory-hungry fool or worse.
Like a man in a trance, the heartsick youth leaves his apartment, trudging listlessly through the night, his thoughts as dark and stormy as the skies above him.
Being Spider-Man has brought me nothing but unhappiness. In order to satisfy my craving for excitement, I've jeopardized everything that really matters. Aunt May, my friends, the girls in my life, and for what? Can I be sure my only motive was the conquest of crime? Or was the heady thrill of battle, the precious taste of triumph, the paranoid thirst for power which can never be quenched? May heaven forgive me. The more I think of it, the more I feel that Jameson was right. In which case, for the sake of my own sanity, there's only one thing left to do. I was just a young, unthinking teenager when I first became Spider-Man. But the years have a way of slipping by, of changing the world about us. And every boy, sooner or later, must put away his toys and become a man. Damn. Spidey's giving up the costume. I understand how he feels. I understand. There's, things that I do, this stuff, ways that I am, my attitude on things, how I do things, and I wonder, like, are my problems because of what I am doing, how I feel about things, my behavior, my reactions to stuff, my beliefs? Is it me that's the problem? I'm pretty well into adulthood now, and when I got into adulthood and finally felt like I was an adult in some ways, I don't feel like an adult in other ways, but in some ways I felt like an adult. I was like, it's because I'm acting a certain way, and this is how I need to act and how I need to be. And this will become, a successful adult person in my body, and I'll become a regular person. But then like things keep going wrong and they keep messing up, and it's just like at some point you're like, maybe I don't have it figured out. Maybe things are just different than I think, and maybe I am like, a bad person or not as good as I could be, I guess, as a person. So I understand completely what Pete's going through here. I'm just like, yeah, this is why Spider-Man is the man. He is popular. He is well beloved because, yeah, he's cool and he's got the costume and he flips around and does stuff, but the people that made him famous by buying his comic books all the time and reading his stories, they were really into this kind of stuff, this emotional turmoil, this reality. You know, Superman, to the best of my knowledge, at around this time in the Silver Age, was not doing things like this. He was not doing things like doubting himself, and I could be completely wrong. I'm a Marvel fanboy. I'm not a DC fanboy. But I think this is at least Spider-Man was doing this. I know that much, and it was really impactful. I can identify completely with what Spider-Man's going through here. It's like when you're a teenager, you're just like a regular little squirt, and then you become an adult, and the adult ideally is like a superhero version of your teen self in my mind. And you're like doing everything in ways that you couldn't have thought possible as a teen, and accomplishing things and being fearless and doing all that stuff that as a teenager you were like, I'm going to be paying bills every day, almost, and going to a job every day and having money and responsibilities and taking care of things, maybe even raising children of my own. I haven't in my case, but that could happen. I'm going to be doing that as a teen. That seems like a superhero's feat. So I can understand what Pete's going through here. And I haven't quite got to the point where I'm like, I'm going to forget these things because I'm just hard headed and stubborn. Um, I would be stubborn, man. I wouldn't be Spider Man. So that's cool. I understand what Spider Man's going through there. I am going to pause this right now and get something to drink because my voice, if you can't tell, is already wrecked because I have not voice acted continuously for 24 minutes like that. Actually, we're almost at 30. Wow. So let me pause this and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I have some nice green tea from Japan here, or the Asian grocery here in town, and I'm kind of rejuvenating myself. I'm going to be taking pauses and just like drinking. This is really uh, unplugged, folks. This is like, you're not going to see a lot of like editing and stuff like that. I just shut the door. It's like you're hanging out with me. So you'll either love it or you hate it. I don't know. I remember the New Universe. That was something they were trying to do in the 80s. They were trying to like make a new story that was dynamic, and it was kind of interesting. They had like a new superhero line come out with it. I don't remember too much about it enough to talk about it, but I remember it being kind of cool because it was like none of the backstory of Marvel, just new characters in the 80s. Enjoy. And I was like, cool. Um, this came out 1 year before I was born. That's cool. All right. So Spider Man has trashed it in this iconic picture, which you may be aware of. If you're a comic book fan, you probably have seen this. But, it's just very iconic for some reason. It appears in a lot of Spider Man referenced places. It's cool. Um, I mean, dude literally like threw his costume in a trash can out in an alley. Like, there's going to be a hobo Spider Man eventually. Um, and then if he does go back and get it out, good luck with that, dude. There's probably like a baby's diaper smashed into the mask now. Like, that's pretty bad. That's rough. All right, let's keep going. We have a Thundercats ad. All right. And I know I'm moving this magazine around a lot. Comic book around a lot, but it's just because I haven't marked off where the edges are yet. Sue me. All right. No, despite what you may think, our tale is not yet ended. For the very next morning. Hold it! Stop! You can't go in there! Wait, that's Mr. Jameson's private office! Maintain your cool, lady. When he sees what I've got here, he'll give you a medal. Hey, Jameson, open up. This is your lucky day, mister. Miss Brandt, since when do you let these kids come in? Sorry. Miss Brandt, since when do you let these punk kids come barging into my office? I'm sorry, I couldn't stop him. He raced right past me. Hold it. Before you blow a gasket, look what I found in a trash can. Ah, so that's where the costume ends up.
What do you think? This is garbage collection agent? Hey, wait, come here. Let me see that. It's a costume. It's that wall-crawling weasel's costume. I'll be hanged if it isn't. Looks like the real McCoy. And if you found it in a trash can, well, it can only mean one thing. Don't just stand there, Miss Brent. Get me the city desk. And I mean now.
I'm wrecking my voice right now. This isn't smart. Don't be like me, kids. Oh, boy.
Yeah, you heard me. Yeah, you heard me right. I'm holding it now. Put out an extra. Splash it across the front page. You rate a reward, kid. Grab a free copy of the Bugle on the way out. That's a reward?
Jesus, that is not really a good reward there. Holy crap, Jameson.
Alas, we will never know whether our disillusioned youngster ever took his free copy or not, for we now leap ahead to the next morning.
How about that? They found his costume in a trash can. I don't get it. Maybe it's just a gag. That web-slinging wonder would never quit. Someone must have beaten him. I'll believe it when I see it. Jameson will print anything to sell his paper. Is Spider-Man through?
Every copy I printed sold out. This is the scoop of a lifetime. After all these years, I finally got some good out of that masked misanthrope. Everything's coming up roses.
I'm literally dying. I'm sorry. Man, it is rough doing these marathon things. Hopefully that's all we see of Jameson in this one. We don't know any more than it about you. We don't know any more about it than you. But if something happened to Spider-Man, why didn't the police make the announcement? We don't know any more about it than you. But we're starting an investigation now. Is it true, Mom? Is it true? Let's hope not, Joey. That's right. Spider-Man's dead. You're all big time. Oh, Christ, there's more Jonah. Oh, no, I'm going to die. Needless to say, it doesn't take long for the TV networks to cover the biggest human interest story of the year. I'll give the folks a close-up view of it, Johnny. These are famous people. I'm sorry if I don't get their voices right. I'm not too familiar with that time. I am, but not to the point that I can do voices like that.
Let's not forget to mention that it was my Daily Bugle that first published the news. As a public service, of course.
Yeah, right. Suppose we get the conversation back to Spider-Man, Mr. Jameson.
Naturally. You don't think I was trying for a free plug, do you?
Oh, perish forbid. Isn't that Carson? In fact, on just about every major channel, the subject is the same. Do you feel that the human arachnid's proclivities preclude the possibility of this being merely a monumental bit of chicanery? What do you gentlemen think is the answer? I'd rather not answer that, David. Because of its possible impact on our viewers? No, because I don't understand the question. It's obvious to me that the underworld has finally done away with him. Speaking as a psychiatrist, I feel he has suffered a schizophrenic withdrawal from reality. Or, to couch it in layman's terms, he's out of his tree. I like that guy. And amongst the highest echelons of the underworld, the reaction is equally fast and far-reaching. This is the moment we've been waiting for. With Spider-Man gone, my plans can now reach fruition. Tell the boys to start spreading the word. I want every mob in this city to know the Kingpin is ready to take over. Will do, Kingpin. We'll have a summit meeting. It'll make Appalachian look like a tea party.
As the long, fateful hours tick by, one man becomes increasingly aware of a new mood among the city's criminal element. Yes, something's in the air. I can feel it. Feel it. Sorry. Something's in the air. I can see it. Feel it. I can almost reach out and touch it. Mobsters who wouldn't be caught within miles of each other, deadly enemies, are meeting and whispering. Whatever it is, that's in the wind. One thing's for sure. It's something big. And it won't be long before Patch, the stool pigeon, finds out what's going on. Ooh, this page is loose. See that? It's not connected there. Oh well, it's not a collector's item anymore. Oh no. Hold it, punk. Where do you think you're going? This isn't your territory. So take a powder. Hey, what gives, Blackie? You know me. It's old Patch. I just want in on the action. Not this time, small fry. Go on back to picking pockets. You're out of your league here. Don't make him tell you twice, creep. I was right. Some of the biggest mobsters in the East are getting together. And they're not just doing it because they're lonely. I'd better make off and make my own plans before they get suspicious of me.
I have no idea who Patch is. I don't know if that was a big character back in the day or not. I know Wolverine, when he had a patch, I don't know about this one. I'm pretty sure that's not Wolverine.
And as the thoughtful Stoolie fades into the deepening shadows. With Spider-Man gone, the Kingpin is ready to take over as headman of the mobs. Any questions? Why don't he tell us himself? I don't deal with stooges.
I'm sorry if all these gangsters sound the same. There's like one gangster voice in the world that I know of, so I'm just doing variations of it. Sorry.
Relax, Shorty. You know the Kingpin likes to stay in the background. If anyone's gonna take control around here, the Kingpin's our boy. Up to now, I've always been my own boss. I don't like it. Then start liking it, mister. What the Kingpin says around here goes.
How's that for variations? Is that fun? I'm not going to remember how to do half these if I had to reread this.
While in a small furnished apartment on the other side of town, I don't have to be a genius to figure out what's going on. Spider-Man helped to keep the underworld on the run. They were disorganized, fearful, cautious. But now it's different. With the web slinger out of action, they're ready to pool their forces. Judging by the ones I've seen, it could be the most powerful army of crime ever assembled. And since somebody will have to lead them, why couldn't it be the man called Patch? Not a man alive knows that I'm really Frederick Foswell.
Still don't know who that is, but that's cool. Oh, good. There's a note. It's gonna tell us who it is.
The next morning, as Foswell, I'm just a two-bit reporter. But if I could be the king of crime once again. Hey, Foswell, come here. I want to show you something. Now that I've gone straight, everybody trusts me. They'd never suspect. Yes, sir, Mr. Jameson.
Remember when JJJ gave Foswell a job after his parole?
He had been known as the Big Man,
till Spidey caught him. That's from Super Memory Stan. Stan Lee. It almost sounds like Super Mario. That's cool. Super Memory Stan. I wonder if that's like related to how Super Mario came about. That phrase, Super Memory. All right, let's continue. We'll take another drink here and just take a small break. Because I don't know if you see that. There's like a billion words on this page, and I'm going to die. I'm sorry, I don't mean to complain. So I won't.
How did you like it? It's the greatest trophy a man could have, and it's all mine. Now, I want you to follow up the Spider-Man story. Get all the leads you can. You've got company, JJ. Can I see you a minute, Mr. Jameson? It's Parker.
Say, what's this doing here?
What does it look like it's doing? It's on display, just like some masterpiece in a museum. I've never managed to catch that weak-kneed webhead, but I did the next best thing. I got his costume for a trophy. Parker probably knows as much about Spider-Man as anyone. The way he managed to get all those exclusive action photos of him. I'd better turn away. Killing to see that I'm too interested in the costume. Well, don't just stand there. I haven't time for every empty-headed juvenile that barges in.
Gotta love JJ. Jay. I just came to tell you not to expect any more pics from me. I'm gonna study, but good, like a college Joe should. College Joe, man. That saying's not around anymore.
No, you can't quit. You were the best photos I ever had.
The best photog, sorry.
The best photog I ever had.
Then why didn't you ever pay me top rates?
I didn't want to spoil you.
Oh, God, it sounds like a real boss. Why don't you pay me a decent wage? Well, you know, capitalism.
Parker quitting at the same...
Oh, this is the other guy, sorry. It's kind of hard to see. You really have to pay attention to what you're doing. Parker quitting at the same time as Spider-Man seems to be out of action. Is it merely a coincidence, or...
I've never been betrayed. Stabbed in the back. After all I've done for you, you're deserting me. I was like a father to you. Gave you the benefit of my wisdom, my kindness, warmth, and friendship. And now you prove that it doesn't pay to be a living doll. Ice guys always finish last.
What a narcissist. Jeez. They do? Then simmer down, Skinflint. You'll never have to worry. But, even as we carefully tie the loose ends of our titanic tale together, a sudden, serious outbreak of crime begins to plague the startled city. You guys must be nuts. You can't even get away. You can't get away with a hijacking, not in broad daylight. When the Kingpin wants a truck hijacked, we do it, Mac. Now climb on out of there. You gonna pay me that protection money, or should I tell the Kingpin you refused? No, I'll pay. Everything went off perfect, just like the Kingpin planned it. Yeah, the cops can't be everywhere. And with Spider-Man gone, our job's a lot easier now. Not long afterward, the brooding Kingpin receives a special report. Most of the boys got themselves nabbed by the cops, boss, but it was worth it. We found out what you wanted to know. Looks like Spider-Man really is out of the action. He didn't show up nowhere, at no time, no how. Good. It was worth losing a few petty hoods to make certain. This means the time has come to proceed with my master plan. Instead of many rival gangs operating haphazardly throughout the city, instead of countless crooks acting alone, without the chance against the police, the underworld will now be run like a business, and the chairman of the board will be the Kingpin. Can you dig it? Better hope no one has a gun. The next day, at good old ESU, I think it's Empire State University. I believe that's the name of his school. Well, the police sure had their hands full lately. I wonder what really happened to Spidey. You think someone polished him off? Hey, he's in mothballs with the other relics, and he's gonna stay there. Hi, Gwen. Can I give you a lift? Move over, Mr. P. You found yourself a pigeon. Oh, God, slang. You found yourself a pigeon. Do I want one? I don't know. Just got a letter from our swinging soldier boy. Fearless Flash. Let's see. He's the same old howling hotshot. He gives the VCs 24 hours to clear out when he gets there. If anyone else scribbled that, we'd call him a great little kidder. But since it's Flasheroo, they'd better start packing. He really turns you on, doesn't he, Gwen? Whoa. I guess that means something different back then. Maybe it meant the same. I don't know. Stanley was a kind of happening guy. Why not? Face it, classmate. How many blushing blondes would find a hip, handsome football hero totally repulsive? I'm sorry I asked, pretty girl. How was the party? A disaster area without you. I wish I wish you kind of meant. Sorry, it's hard to read this now. I kind of wish you meant that. Oh, you lovable blind goof. I can't see you. Start over. Face it, classmate. How many blushing blondes would find a hip, handsome football hero totally repulsive? I'm sorry I asked, pretty girl. How was the party? A disaster area without you. I kind of wish you meant that. Oh, you lovable blind goof. Can't you see I do? Thanks for the lift, neighbor. Anytime, princess. Man, if only I had a chance in her league. A fella could sure sail through life with a gal like that to come home to. Careful what you say. Then, 2 ounces of gasoline later. Aunt May, you're sitting up. You're better. Gosh, that's terrific. Is there anything you need? Anything I can get you? But don't ask for Cary Grant. He's out of town. Oh, Peter, dear, you always cheer me up so. I told you he'd be here right after class, May, dear. Quick, someone call the beauty parlor. It's an emergency. A living, breathing male walked in and didn't notice me. I'm a washout, has been. It's the utter end, friend. Oh, hi, Mary Jane. I didn't know you were here. Obviously, Dad, or you'd have arrived even sooner. Well, it's your loss, Tiger. I have to cut you out now. I'm late for rehearsal. Oh, knock 'em dead, lady. With these new threads Aunt Anna just stitched for me, how can I miss? If your wheels are pointed in the right direction, PDO, this could be your lucky day. Oh, sorry, MJ. I'd better stay with Aunt May for a while. No sweat, nice boy. Finally, as twilight begins to fall, I feel like $1,000,000. No more worries, no more problems. I should have kissed Spidey off long ago. No more guilt feelings about Aunt May, and I'll have plenty of time to study tonight. Yep, this is the life, all right. I've never had it so good before. It'll be a pleasure to know what they're talking about in class. It's pretty funny. Wonder if Gwen will notice the difference. But even as the seemingly retired superhero luxuriates in his room, business goes on as usual throughout the city. Faster, Mac, we ain't got all day. But this money's for welfare. Yeah, the Kingpin's welfare. Now shut up and keep loading that case. I really do think they all talk the same. They all just sound exactly the same. What do you care? They've both got guns. You're going to listen to them both equally. The West Side Welfare Agent has just been robbed of its total cash allotment, destined for the city's needy. A robbery on the West Side? If that money isn't recovered, what happens to relief payments this month? Handicapped people, old people, helpless infants will be the sufferers. And they don't have bank accounts to fall back on while waiting for help. The police may already have picked up the trail of the rats who pulled the job, but just in case. Oh, hey, Parker, hold it. Yeah, you chowderhead. You just took the pledge, remember? Your web-slinging days are gone forever. Simmer down, sweetie. You can read all about it in the paper.
And simmer down he does, though every instinct within him longs for the thrill of adventure once again. But then, the next morning, "Say, Pete, did you read about the welfare office robbery last night?" Huh? Oh no, I just had time for the sports pages. Oh, I gotta change the subject, keep my mind off crime. Looks like looks like we're in the middle of a full-fledged underworld invasion. How's your dad, Harry? You haven't mentioned him lately. I haven't seen him. He's been out of town. Have you thought any more about his offer? About working part-time in his lab? Oh, as a matter of fact, I have, Harry. I just have to finish some personal matters first. Soon as Aunt May is on her feet and my studies are up to snuff, I'm gonna do it. What's he holding there? Looks like a UFO. I don't know what that is. This is the top to something. Oh, it's like a sugar top or something. Thus, after all these years, things start looking up for our harassed hero. Or do they? How about a soda, sandwich, and spin after class, woman? Love it, man, but I have a date with Harry tonight. You two aren't pinned or anything, are you? First Flash, now Harry, you're always trying to pair me off. How come you haven't asked me if I've got a mad crush on a bashful, black-haired bike rider? Come on, we both can't... Come on, we both know nice guys finish last. Forget it, lady. You said it, Pete. I didn't. It's weird. Why is he acting like that? I don't get that. If only I thought that Gwen meant... Oh, Aunt May and Miss Watson are leaving. Hello, Peter, dear. I feel so much better that Anna and I are going to the movies. Gee, that's great. Have a good time here. Remember, no flirting with the ushers. Oh, Peter, you're such a caution. It's friggin' slang. You're such a caution. Like, I don't even think that's old people talk. I've never heard anyone say you're a caution. So I gave up being Spider-Man to have more time for my family and my friends. Only to find they don't need me. I might as well go home and bury myself in a book. But on the way back to his pad, Pete hears. Now, pad, there's slang I do know. I remember reading pad back in the day. And like, what's a pad? Apartment. Call it a pad. I guess because you're like a frog. That's cool. Help! Somebody help! Something's wrong atop that warehouse roof. And no one else around. Except me. It's the watchman. He's outnumbered if I don't get up there fast. They're too dangerously close to the edge of the roof. Every kid, shut 'em up. There's only one thing to do. Hold it! Look! Someone's vaulting over the ledge, coming right at us. But how do you get up here? Have to move fast. So fast that they won't recognize me. The watchman hasn't seen me yet, and these two hoods won't get a chance to see anything. Stack! Stack! Knock the crap out of him. How does he control himself from, like, not knocking their heads off? I always wondered. Wait, I don't know who you are or where you came from, but you prevented a robbery. And you probably saved my life. I don't understand. How did you do it? I've got to keep to the shadows, make my way down the stairs. Can't even let him hear my voice. The watchman, he reminds me of someone from the past. If you wait, there's bound to be a reward. All right, I won't try to stop you. You must have your reasons. Isn't that Gwen Stacy's dad? I think that's Gwen Stacy's dad. Minutes later. Well, I did it. After all my pledges, all my big plans, I reverted to type at the first chance I got. And yet, how could I have done anything else? A man's very life was in danger. I seem to remember this way. I seem to remember feeling this way once, before. When was it?
Of course. Now I know. That's why that watchman seemed familiar. Uncle Ben. He reminded me of my Uncle Ben. How could I have forgotten? It seems like only yesterday now. Aunt May and Uncle Ben. The only family that I ever knew. Oh, they were the greatest folks that anyone could have ever had. Kind, loving, generous. I'll never forget Uncle Ben saving for months to buy me my first microscope. And then, when I had the lab accident, which gave me my Spider-Man powers, I just became a costume adventurer for kicks. And the money I thought it would bring. I hoped I'd be able to pay Uncle Ben back at least a fraction of what I owed him. And when it came to chasing criminals, I was more than willing to let George do it. Now that's in quotations, let George do it. I guess that was a saying back in the day. Let George do it. Even when I was yelled at for not even trying to stop a fleeing burglar, I shrugged it off. After all, it wasn't any of my business. Or so I thought. Until I learned that the burglar had actually committed a murder, and his victim had been Uncle Ben! That was the turning point. That's when I became Spider-Man. For real! It's getting pretty heavy. One of the first victories in my crime-busting career came a short time later, when I cornered an armed robber. Even with his gun, he was no match for my spider powers, and I dusted him off fast and easy. But a minute later, I got the next great shock, surprise of my life. It's him. He's the one who killed Uncle Ben. And then, I was suddenly hit by the shocking realization which had haunted me from that moment on. I had a chance to stop him when he ran past me that day. And I didn't. But if only I'd done so, Uncle Ben would be alive today. Now, at last, it's all crystal clear to me once more. I can never renounce my Spider-Man identity. I can never fail to use the powers which a mysterious destiny has seen fit to give me. No matter how unbearable the burden may be, no matter how great my personal sacrifice, I can never permit one innocent being to become. I can never permit one innocent being to come to harm because Spider-Man failed to act. And I swear that I never will. We'll pause it here so I can have a break. It's pretty good so far, I gotta say. Because that's what I mentioned. I was like, Uncle Ben was the whole impetus for the whole Spider-Man thing, right? So it's like, why would you give that up just because you're having a hard time? Well, I guess he's human. Everybody has that, moment where they're like, why am I doing this? What makes this worth it? Blah, blah, blah. And then you remember, and you're like, yeah, maybe it takes a break, takes some time, but you think about it, and you're like, yeah, I can't stop what I'm doing. I gotta keep going. So, Spider-Man, Peter has remembered why he is Spider-Man and why he needs to continue to be Spider-Man. So, let's pause it right there. Okay. So, we're at the end of the story here, just about. Go ahead and finish it. While at the palatial headquarters of the cold-blooded kingpin we find... Ever heard of the big man, mister? You're looking at him. I ran the rackets in this town before Spider-Man put me on ice. But the web-slinger's gone now, so I'm aiming to run things again. I remember you, Foswell. I thought you had gone straight. So did I. But I can't stand by and watch someone else pick up where I left off. If anyone's gonna organize the mobs, it's gonna be me. I got the guts, the experience, and the savvy. But I'm not greedy. I'm willing to share the take. But I'm not greedy. I'm willing to share the take. I can use a man like you as one of my lieutenants. Well, what do you say?
You witless fool! You have the temerity to address the kingpin like that? You dare offer me the position of your lieutenant? I could buy and sell you 100 times a day.
Hey, take it easy, Kingpin. I didn't walk in here unprepared.
Naturally, my electronic scanner instantly spotted the gun you had hidden in your hat. That gun which I can easily obliterate in a single blast, along with the hat itself.
Disintegrator beam built into your cane. If I hadn't leaped aside.
Put Mr. Foswell on ice for a while. He may prove useful to us later on.
Hold it! Listen to me! You're making a big mistake.
The Kingpin does not make mistakes.
And in another section of the town, a silent, shadowy figure grimly scales the sheer, steep wall of the Daily Bugle building. It has to still be here. It has to. Oh, for once I'm in luck. Jameson's own hatred of me wouldn't let him give up that costume. Now I can just move fast enough. Then, not long afterwards,
Hey, how come my window's open?
I'll snap on the light and you! Hi, Chuckles.
I thought you were dead or at least mortally wounded somewhere.
Sorry to disappoint you. I was out recruiting.
Recruiting?
You heard me. I'm signing up volunteers. I'm gonna fill the whole city with Spider-Men. Awfully sorry about the retractions you'll have to print in your paper, but I guess you're used to that by now.
Oh, he's back. He's still alive and more rotten than ever. Oh, no! No! No!
By the way, next time I leave that costume, the least you can do is have it dry cleaned. Well, see you around, fun friend. And now, Spidey's back in action. And as far as the world's concerned, they better believe it. Continued next ish. And how. Wow. So Spider-Man's back in business. It's nice. Wait, I'm just trying to read this ad here. Doctor Who? For question mark? For only $5 a year, you'll receive a subscription to Whovian Times Quarterly Magazine, full color, a membership card, and the Doctor Who Thermal Dynamic Badge that changes color with light and heat. Be part of the largest Doctor Who fan club in the world and find out why Doctor Who is the longest running sci-fi series in the history of television. Includes $5 your name. Include $5 your name, address, and age and mail to Doctor Who P.O. Box 6198, Denver, Colorado. Cool. Sorry, I just got distracted by that because I was like, oh, cool, Doctor Who. These ads are so, cool. I know I'm supposed to be talking about this, but the ads distracted me. They have done their job. Secret Order of Star Quest the Dragon. Ooh, what's that? Learn total defense and conflict control using equipment and techniques not available anywhere else. A catalog and membership information must be sent to Zorcom, Department BB, Box G, Utica, New York. Wow, that sounds weird. What is that, a cult? I wonder if there's anybody around that still knows that, or are they just too dangerous to be left alive, so they're all wiped out? There's a movie, Secret Order of Star Quest, the Dragon. Super weird. I would love to see what they had to sell, what they were giving out. That's cool. Micro bugs, advanced bugging equipment, ultra small transmitters, telephone bugs, concrete mics, pin bugs, and much more. Doesn't sound very legal. Yeah, I just love these old ads. Comic grab bags. That's how I found a lot of comics as a kid. They would sell them in gas stations. Weigel's gas stations had a lot of comic grab bags. There'd be 3 comics per bag. You'd only see the front one, and I don't think you could see the other 2, so you're just getting surprises. That's how I encountered a lot of comics and learned a lot of the comics that I liked. It was a lot of random encounter. Like the only like comic series that I've like read like at least 10 years of continuous 10 years of is probably Uncanny X-Men. Um, from like the beginning up to like the 80s, so about 10, 15 years worth of comics. But yeah, these are cool. What else we got here? We got, oh, it's Stan Lee back in the 80s. Good old Stan Lee. And then we have Alpha Flight, Canada's Avengers or government superheroes or whatever. Yeah, that wasn't too popular. They make it a movie now. I shouldn't say anything. Ooh, that's cool. The Amazing Spider-Man. His uncle's death was the biggest regret of his life. Of course, playing Hooky was a close second. Hooky, Spider-Man's first graphic novel. I don't know about that. That's cool though. I like that the art there. It's really popping. Neat. I have to look that up. What is this? So this is like, oh, this is like letters they got where they're like, what should you bring back? And I guess this series was dedicated to like showing like old magazines and stuff. Old, God darn, I did it again. Said magazines, old comic book issues, so they can catch people up on it. Oh, that's why the art's so good. It's Bernie Wrightson on that. I know I'm scatterbrained. I have ADD. Sorry, but yeah, that's why that's so popular with me. It's cool. What the hell's that? Have a nice day. Limited. It's got bullet holes in it. That's pretty dark. Cool. And then, oh man, look at that. Not a collector's item. It's torn. Mask. That's Pat the NES punk likes Mask. That's the only person I've ever heard mention Mask. I knew what Mask was back in the day. Fight the price increase blues. Well, it's going to get a little bit bluer, let me tell you. So, I believe that is the issue. It's a cool Yamaha ad. You always want to play piano while wearing a helmet, of course. Let's look at the front here. So there we go. Spider-Man No More, number 50. Reprinted in 1986 under Marvel Tales, starring Spider-Man, number 190. That was cool. I really enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. It's pretty interesting reading these old comics. I can see why Spider-Man was so popular. It's because he was so relatable. What is it about putting on a mask and showing somebody punching people in the face that it suddenly just becomes super relatable? I couldn't tell you. I do see the appeal though, and it works on me. Good story. I liked how Kingpin was in there, and how Peter had that dilemma, which I could relate to immensely, and how you're doing everything you think is the right thing to do, and you don't feel happy, you don't feel fulfilled, and Spider-Man's story here is just showing us that even if you don't feel fulfilled by it, sometimes you have a calling. You have something you're good at, something you have a hobby at or a passion at that you're good at, and even if you don't feel like doing it, you just got to keep doing it because it will provide fulfillment sooner than later. It will give you a purpose, which will give you satisfaction that might not be immediately obvious, but is there. And the more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. That's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm reading you guys comic books. I'm always trying to do new things. I'm slapping down the money and investing and trying to get more stuff going and different things going so I can get different results out of life. I'm a big proponent of the belief that if you don't like what you're getting out of life, you got to change things up because you'll get something different out of it if you put something different in. Try something different. See what else you can do. Because if you do the same thing over and over again, you're not likely to get anything different in results. It's the famous saying, the mark of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something different. I believe trying new things, and this is fun. I like this. I will be doing more. In fact, I will give you a preview of what the next one's going to be. It will be Daredevil, number 233. This is an original one, but from around the same time period. Actually, I think it's 86. It's the same year as this reprint, but this is not a reprint. This is an original one. Notice there's a Spider-Man face down here instead of the barcode, which means that this is it's probably shipped to somebody or was a back copy. It was not on newsstands. That's why it doesn't have a barcode. To the best of my knowledge, that's why that is. Most of the comics I encountered had this little face down here or somebody's face because I was buying reprints or back issues. But yeah, I'm going to be reading Daredevil Armageddon. Great story. Really excited to do it. I might just do it tomorrow. My voice isn't destroyed. This is kind of fun. I totally wing this. Sorry for all the mistakes. I have ADD, so when I'm like reading, I like think of something else and I'll stop paying attention to what I'm looking at and I'll read something incorrectly. Bear with me on that. This was totally off the cuff. I just sat down and decided to do it. Really had a good time. This was fun. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This is Toy, reading you comic books. I haven't even made a series up for this, a series name up for this yet, so I'll make something up and slap it on there. But that was Spider Man number 50. Spider Man No More. Or so you think. Pretty cool. Thanks for watching. Bye.